guys, this is Lisa.
And it's Jim.
All right, this is part 2 of what we were doing yesterday. So we want to finish up and really focus in back on the marketing of the Rise of Skywalker and whether it matches the leaks that Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine. Jim, why don't you take us through some of those that marketing that you really focused in on and tell us about it?
Okay, so what I spotted was the use of certain types of light panels, which are on the Death Star in A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. Is that right? They literally, to me, look exactly like the ones that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fought in front of in A New Hope, and it's literally where Obi-Wan died. And I think that people are so wrapped up in like Rey Palpatine and how the Death Star symbolizes Palpatine that they're also kind of forgetting that Obi-Wan actually did end there. That's literally where he ended. I feel like the trailer kind of has Rey looking out of the Death Star, and then Luke says no one's ever really gone, and then it shows you the Rey and then the Death Star, and if Obi-Wan died, that's where Obi-Wan died. But then it gives you that cackle from who. So it makes you think, oh no, it's basically Palpatine. Palpatine's back. I think people are kind of missing what else the Death Star means in terms of Star Wars and the saga. And the fact that they keep using certain panels behind Rey in images, like posters and comic books, they literally have taken the exact same panel that Obi-Wan died in front of. It's got 5 prongs, different sizes, and then it separates and it's got 5 more prongs on it, different sizes, and it's literally the section of that panel that Obi-Wan just completely ceased to exist, and he crumpled to the floor in front of where Vader killed him. I just wonder why on earth that's behind Rey, of all places, on a comic book. If you guys take a look at the picture, you'll see what I mean. And it's also on one of the posters. It's not the same ones, but it's the ones that Vader and Obi-Wan were fighting in between or fighting around on the Death Star as well. So they've got the same spacing amongst them. So I mean, I find that quite interesting. In general, what do you think about that?
To be honest, I never made that connection until just now. You'd think I would have made that connection years ago, but no, I didn't really make the connection that when in that trailer, when Luke says no one's ever really gone, it's focusing on Rey looking at the Death Star, and that's the moment that Obi-Wan died in the Death Star, and then he says in the Millennium Falcon to Leia after, I can't believe he's gone. Oh my God! I literally never made that connection. That's pretty good. Wow. Yeah, I cannot believe. Well, the picture is different in my head now. I can't believe I never made that connection. But that's incredible. You're absolutely correct. How come people can't see this?
To be honest, I didn't see it. I actually looked at the poster and didn't actually notice it properly until someone else had pointed it out on a forum somewhere. I can't remember the name of the post. I'm really sorry. But they basically sort of drew attention to the panels at the back.
That is the Allegiance comic book, right?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Is that the one?
It's definitely official.
The black and white one?
Yeah. The comic book cover has got that small paneling next to Rey, on the right hand side of her, just like it was on the right hand side of Obi-Wan Kenobi when he died. When Vader killed him.
Wow.
Oh, and we have the actual main poster. Which would you like to talk about that one? The main poster.
Yeah, let's
go on then.
All right. So, to me, I see on that main poster the Death Star paneling right behind her. I mean, I saw it immediately after Star Wars Celebration, but like we're so psyched out that she's nobody that we're not making normal connections. Don't you think that's what it is?
Yeah, but when I saw that, I kind of back at that point I was like, she's a nobody. I'm not getting my hopes up anymore. That means
Yeah.
nothing. Everything means nothing. They put all this stuff in before as well in The Last Jedi, and it means nothing. And I thought it's nothing. It's just there to look pretty. But now I'm starting to think maybe there's a bit more of a connection there, really, because it appeared twice throughout the
Hmm.
media. They put it behind her twice.
Hmm.
So yeah, I thought maybe there's a
So
bit more to it than that.
what would be the purpose of a nobody to have all that paneling? Is it just Star Wars design,
Or
aesthetic?
maybe because the Death Star's back, but then to kind of draw attention to that specific thing, the area where they were fighting. That's what it's most
Hmm.
famously, I think, the most famous visual of those lights is when Obi-Wan and Vader were fighting in the hallway.
Hmm.
Um, so
Hmm.
the immediate callback in your head.
And is there any other marketing that we can? Go ahead.
Sorry, there is other marketing that you were just talking about. The actual main poster for um, the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, from
It's
D
got
twenty
that you
three.
noticed this one actually. I think you noticed something on the D23 poster
Hmm.
as well. Do you want to expand on that?
Listen, I wasn't even the first to notice it.
Oh.
Somebody else noticed it somewhere. I don't remember. But it's the parapet or thing. When Obi-Wan says, I must go alone, that's what it is. To Luke and Han, when they're trying to take down the shields to get the Millennium Falcon out of the Death Star in A New Hope, he's sneaking around and he's trying to deactivate the shields. So the thing that he crawls around to deactivate the shields is the thing that Rey and Kylo are fighting on, or very similar to it. I don't know how more similar you can get without being the exact thing, um,
Hmm.
on that poster. So that's like 3 posters.
It is.
And don't get me
Um,
started on the I must go alone thing, because that was
oh
at the
God.
T23 behind the scenes reel too. She says she must go alone, it's too dangerous. And Obi-Wan says that before he goes to climb around that parapet. He says, I must go alone. Um, he tells Luke these words, your destiny lies along a different path than mine. And I think when we're doing these whole ring theories and reversals, is that Luke and Obi-Wan's destiny were on different paths, but Rey and Kylo's destiny is on the same path. That's my best guess.
Hmm.
So, what would be
Um,
the purpose of having Ray Palpatine word all these words from Obi-Wan? I mean, is there another explanation for Ray having all these similarities with Obi-Wan besides being directly his granddaughter?
I mean, she could just be fulfilling his role
Yes.
naturally in the saga or in the this trilogy, the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
That could be the that tail end of it, but I don't know. It's one
Is
end
that
of it spectrum.
sure? I have a question for you. Would you deem that to be satisfying?
Um, no, because they wouldn't really need to even explain it. Um, if she's just spiritually fulfilling it, I feel like we need an explanation, like
Like
about who
Obi-Wan
she is.
adopted Palpatine's granddaughter in the spirit and influenced her in the
No,
spirit?
it doesn't make sense. To me. That just doesn't.
It doesn't make sense to me either.
It
But I
makes
mean, they
everything
could go
redundant.
that way. But I don't feel, for me at this point, why half step? That's not satisfying to me. If you're going to go there with this connection with Obi-Wan, you just go there, just do it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've always felt like the reason they're withholding who she actually is and they're dragging it out is because this is the end of the entire. It's not just the end of the sequel trilogy; it's the end of the entire sort of saga. So imagine each trilogy is also each part of the story. So you've got the first trilogy, the middle trilogy, the last trilogy. Um, they are withholding who she is, literally, according to Daisy. Like by the end of the film, at the very end, you're supposed to know who she is, like fully. They're withholding like who she is until the end. which to me like quite strongly indicates that like the reason they're withholding it is because she literally is the key to everything. Everything will just fall into place. Whoever she is, whatever she says, or whatever she finds out, it will explain the saga as a whole. And that's why they're withholding it for so damn long, because it needs to be at the end. It needs to be at the very, very, very end of the saga. That's why it makes me think like what's really going to be the important thing here is definitely who she is and how she fits. The way that Kylo was like, you don't fit into this story, I mean, it kind of suggests to me that she does. And that's very important that she finds that out. Hopefully she will, or she's going to. So yeah,
really briefly,
I think.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I finished.
Really briefly before we call it quits on this part 2 of the marketing and Rey Palpatine, do you want to cover the Vanity Fair covers and what you saw?
I'm not the first person to see it. I saw. You pointed it out to me, so I just looked at it. Apparently, there's supposed to be a clue hidden in that cover. It's a dual cover, so that's another thing. So it's a dual cover. You put them together, and it makes a whole picture. So it's basically Kylo on one and Rey on another one. I think they're looking at a sunset, and it's a dual sunset. You can kind of see it in the clouds behind the two of them. Behind Rey, it's very white, and behind Kylo, it's very dark, deep red, and that is the same color as the dual suns that you see quite a few times in the saga. I think it's most particularly supposed to look like the one at the end of
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, sorry, Revenge of the Sith. And not only that, they're looking at the sunset, so it's kind of flipped. So if you imagine that the sun's behind them, it's the camera's behind them, and they're looking at the sun. They're literally also standing in the same position as the two suns. So it's trying to say that Rey is the white sun and Kylo is the red sun. I feel like they're both looking at the different, like the opposing sun, if you know what I mean, the opposite sun. As well. So she's looking at the red one, he's looking at the white one. If you just look at the way the image is kind of like the way they've set them out in the frame. But that's just my opinion. Could be wrong.
Sure. And is there a deeper meaning? Would that even jive with Rey Palpatine?
No. See, the twin sons have always been related to Obi-Wan, the Skywalkers. You know. It's also in the trailer. Is it D20? It was in that trailer. It has the sons, and it has Luke, and then it has Obi-Wan, then Leia. So again, it's like the connection between these three. And then they've got this cover where Rey is supposedly also part of this whole thing with the dual sons. So I think maybe that's a deeper meaning there. Like you.
Well, I mean, look, we're coming up with zeros when it comes to Rey Palpatine as far as marketing goes.
I agree,
but maybe that's a twist.
Yeah, no.
All right.
What about you? Found some interesting a tweet, didn't you? It was tweeted recently.
Yeah. The Raylos tweeter named Slimo tweeted a couple quotes from Chris Terrio, who, of course, is helping to co-write Episode 9. And he says this. Let me bring it up really briefly, because I found it to be really interesting. Because, again, I don't find that his quote is jiving with Rey Palpatine either. Funny enough. So let me read the tweet. Let me see if I can read it eloquently without making any mistakes.
Okay.
I'm going to read the second one. I'm not going to read the first one, because I think the second one is... No, let me read the first one. The first quote from Chris Terrio from Empire Online. But more importantly, who is she as a character? How will she find the courage and the will and the inner strength and power to carry on what she's inherited? Now, what is the problem with that statement? Why would she want to carry on anything she inherited from Palpatine?
I don't know. I don't see how it would give her any kind of strength. That's one thing.
Well,
Definitely
mhm.
it stands out in my mind.
Well, Obi-Wan Kenobi was famous. Well, he's not famous because it's from the Clone Wars when he tells Maul, it takes strength to resist the dark side. That is something he specifically said that I don't think anybody else has said in the saga. Only Snoke says it to Rey, such strength in The Last Jedi. They're the only two that I know of. So, but I wouldn't describe Palpatine as weak. I guess going to the dark side is weak, then Palpatine is weak, according to Obi-Wan. Now, here's a second quote, Chris Terrio. One of them is a simple one. Who is Rey? Which is a question that people not only wonder about quite literally, but wonder about in the spiritual sense. The second one is, how strong is the Force? These two things were really important. Now, the first half is they want to know who she is quite literally. So there's more to the story. There's more to the story, and we're going to get to the movie on December 20th. And the answer to that story is going to be she's Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. So many people believe this right now. I'm shocked.
I mean, it is what's leaked.
It's true,
So,
and maybe they're wrong with me because we didn't believe she was a nobody, and that
it's true.
came down the
We were in firm belief that she was not a nobody based off of how there were so many hints of like,
mm-hmm.
even in like the trailer for The Last Jedi there was hints, but of of Rey Kenobi. But it's like when Rey Random actually dropped, it taught me a lesson to listen to actual spoilers. But I don't know, JJ Abrams deals with secrets differently. Like I said yesterday, he shoots alternate scenes, shows it to journalists. So he shows them the dummy scene, which isn't actually relevant to the actual final product. And by the
Mm-hmm.
time the final product comes out, everyone's stunned because it's not what they were shown. So he has a track record of doing that. So in this sense, I think maybe the leaks are fake. That part is anyway about Rey Palpatine.
Now, I have another question for you. He did say that he would honor um, everything that Ryan Johnson did.
He
Do
has
we
to, in a
believe
way.
him? Yeah, he does have to.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he has to honor that
The
reveal.
acting, yeah. What Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley did in that scene was incredible. Whether I
Uh-huh.
liked what was being said, it was beautifully acted.
I
Do
agree.
you really want to erase that? I don't think so.
I mean, I think I've always said it, like I said before. I don't think that's it. I think to me, the fact that he said you have no place in this story,
I mean,
you're
she does.
nothing, you're nobody, it's really damages the story. It damages Kylo. Nothing positive comes from that outcome. I mean, they split up. He gets worse. She's broken, but she gets a little bit stronger. I mean, she does lift the rocks and everything like that, so she's kind of okay. But it's like in that moment, it just destroys her, and I think it makes her more lost, in my opinion, about who she is and what she means. Um, in her heart, she knows. I think she believes. She
She's
says something's
important.
always been there. Something's always been there, pushing her to do certain
Yeah.
things inside. Um, and he just destroys that, and she's just completely like, "What the fuck?" So it's
And
like,
can I just say something? And I think that's a lot of people experience that in real life, that they might be nobody technically, but they feel a destiny calling them,
yes,
right?
yeah,
And telling her she has no story is telling her that this feeling of destiny that she feels calling her is not really calling her at all.
yeah,
So if you look at it that way, I totally agree with you. It does destroy this sense of destiny that she has for herself, regardless of who she thinks she is or doesn't know who she is. She
hmm
feels that call and knows that she must do these things.
I agree.
But mhm,
And she's saying like, sorry, he's saying let the past die, yada yada yada, and it is that message again is not good because he goes more evil, well, not evil, but he becomes more unhinged after this whole thing. It's not the right direction. Um, he tries to make her go in his direction, which is towards the dark side. So him saying you're nothing and nobody, forget the past. He's trying to suppress something about her, um, so that the light side can't win, in my opinion. and it backfires because she knows. I think again her Kenobi thing fights in her, and she knows that she's someone, which is why
now
she
I have
leaves
another
her there.
question for you. The second one, how strong is the Force? Dark side of the Force? Like, what does that mean?
I know.
But nothing that he said to me screams there's dun, behind door 2,
I
but
know.
face history. Nothing says that. So it's like a disconnect that like it messes with my mind on a daily basis. I'll be honest, because everybody
On a
truly
daily
believes
basis.
that.
I mean, it jarred with me. Like when I first, I was just reading that, I was just like, where did this even stem from? Like, I mean, if there was significant setup to this from The Last Jedi and from The Force Awakens, I'd be like, oh yeah, I get it. She's a Palpatine, but it's just, it doesn't match with anything we've seen. There's nothing leading up to it. There's absolutely nothing suggesting her narrative or what she does, what's driving her. I mean, Palpatine never helped Leia. Palpatine never helped Luke. You know, Rey has this drive to do this. She has an unspoken bond with all of the Skywalkers, which reflect Obi-Wan Kenobi's bonds with the characters in previous trilogies, and it's like there was never a bond between Luke and Palpatine. There was never a bond between Leia and Palpatine. So it's just so why is Rey Palpatine the symbol of hope to Leia? That's another thing. It's literally said. That's another thing. It's literally said in that comic about Rey that came out recently. Rey is hope to Leia. I've always said this. Like, I remember saying this way back in the day, that like that hug between Rey and Leia always resembled what Rey means to Leia. They didn't even need to speak, and they just hugged each other. And Leia knows that Rey is the last hope. That's why she sends Rey off to see Luke, to find Luke. It even says this in the comic. It literally says, she's our last hope, or there's another.
It does say
Yeah, and it's implying it's Rey is the hope, is Leia's hope. And you know where that comes from? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And I've said this way back, like right from end of 2015. I'm just hoping I'm right. I'm not absolutely insane, and I've just imagined this the whole time. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Rey Palpatine being a hope to the Skywalkers in any sense. Like, he's literally the reason why. Vader is dead. Obi-Wan is dead. Rey and Kylo have a reason to really want to kill this guy. It's more strong than the thought of like her killing her own grandfather.
It's terrible.
There's no reason for it. She doesn't care. She doesn't know him. But if she finds out he's the reason why all this shit went down with Obi-Wan and everything like that, so it's like it's a direct like reason to hate this guy and kill him and end it once and for all.
Okay, guys. I think that's all we have for today. Please subscribe at the bottom. We are really going to be having more content more frequently, especially as the run up to the Rise of Skywalker, and probably after that, because we'll probably have so much to discuss for weeks and weeks and weeks. So please subscribe and stay tuned.
Thanks, guys. Bye.